Hey, welcome back to my tutorials. And in the last video I mentioned that we would be going over templates so that our video will actually show up on our site. So to do that, we're going to go into our theme, and that's the Bootstrap, and we're going to go into the templates folder and then layout. And then we can just temporarily open this, and if you're using Sublime, just hit Control N and that will open up a new file. All right, and just Control S in here, and that will bring us to our last opened file path, and this will just be called video page. So we're going to call that the same thing that we called our class. Okay, these templates are going to be basically like HTML with a little bit of SilverStripe flavor. So we're going to open up this div, and we're going to give it the class container, which is just something that Bootstrap provides. And in here, we're going to use one of the SilverStripe directives, which is going to be loop video objects. That would be all the video objects that we added to the page, but we're going to just limit it to one. And since we open that loop, we also need to close it. That would actually be video objects, excuse me, and we're going to put a $sign in front of it. Those are optional in the directives, but I find it's pretty good practice to do that. Then we're just going to add the video tag in here. Then we're going to do source, and the source is going to be our video source, so what we entered in our video object. So we could just take this and make sure we call a variable with the $sign. Then we're going to want to call the URL on this, and our type is going to be video MP4. Then we're going to set a height in here of 225, width of 400, and we also want controls for our video. But to get this to actually show on the front end, we're going to need to say that it is part of the page ownership. So it's going to be private static owns, and then it's going to be the video source, and you don't need to assign it to anything in here. Don't forget your semicolon right here. Then we're just going to run another dev build. One more thing you'll need to do when you put owns in here is that you'll need to actually republish your video, or else it won't show on the front end. It'll only show in the preview mode. Okay, if you go back to your video page, you should see our video here with controls. Lastly, we're just going to update our video object to include a title and a description. These are just going to go into a private static DB. The title is going to be of type text, and the same thing for our description. And for these, we're going to need some text fields so that we can enter those in the CMS. So those are going to be under the SilverStripe Forms namespace, and it's going to be text field and text area field. Now we're just going to update our field list. So we're going to create a text field, and that's going to be for the title. Then we're going to create a text area field for the description. Then we're going to rerun dev build so that those new fields get put in our database. And on our template inside the video objects loop, we're going to put that heading. And the description. Now if you go back to the CMS after that dev build finishes up, you'll see that we have a title and text field. So we'll just put video title and video description. And we'll just save that. And if we refresh our front end, we should see our title and our description. Now, what if we didn't want a description for whatever reason? So let's just get rid of that. Now, if we refresh our front end and we open up our inspector, you can do that by pressing Ctrl-Shift-I. You'll see that we still have the P tag because the description isn't there, but the P tags are still there. That's because we need to put this in a directive. So we need to check if there is a description. Same thing, we need to close that. Now back on our front end, you can see that the P tags are gone. But if we entered in a description again, you can see that the check goes through because there is a description. So in the next video, we'll be going over the model admin, which will create our own sidebar item in here for our video categories. So catch you then.